Lead and Expect is in my first book series, which I have expanded on in Jagiellonian law. Lead and Expect, which is a unification of quality and finance. It's a quality management system that has medical science at the top. Basically has a physician at the top. There's other quality management systems that put theoretical, made-up martial artists at the top in a bizarre, merit system that isn't predicated on, the 66 shepherd tribes of good doctors, that have marked the upward trend of mankind, that have doubled life expectancy in the last 100 years. One of those medical specialties is enteric. Enteric is part of the nervous system. It's only recently been identified as separate from the parasympathetic nervous system. It's important because the enteric nervous system has so much neurons in it, so much neurosystems in it, that theoretically it's believed that it could live outside the body. It includes, all of your digestive organs. It's so critical. There's multiple quantum physics findings in the enteric nervous system. First that there's across all the species of the world, there is a universal, one-directional, non-reversible path in the enteric system. Which is a good thing. It's a clean thing. But that wasn't necessarily true with stage 1 life. It's true with stage 2 life. Second is, the way under use of diagnostics on understanding the relative health of our enteric system. A huge proportion of our disease originates through the volume of food and water that passes through our system, and yet we don't have really good diagnostics and early detection tools to do it. There's a great need for it because those are great indicators for quality of life and life expectancy. Parasites are widespread in the enteric system throughout the population. Nutrient, misuse, that's disruptive to the natural nutrient systems in the body. The surface area inside us hasn't eradicated foodborne illness. Maybe should have. And if you look back in history, there's been an increase in the number of foodborne parasites, not a decrease, which is really troubling when you think of the tradition of Louis Pasteur, of Edward Jenner, of Jonas Salk, that, we should have been eradicating foodborne diseases at a increasing clip with our increase in knowledge and medical science, and it hasn't panned out. And so we have to do things differently and see enteric as a medical specialty. The Jagiellonian law of the enteric medical specialty, particularly, there's 3 organs that our body happened to have not evolved. One, to absorb magnesium, to make sure that there's a clear place that food that we eat absorbs vitamin D, B6, and magnesium harmonically. Absorbs iron with vitamin C harmonically, and absorbs calcium with K2 and vitamin D harmoniously, which is so important because calcium causes so many blockages when it ends up in the wrong part of our body, and there's no selective pressure on having blockages of calcium or anemia in iron or inadequacy of magnesium. The selective pressure is the other direction, and it happens to be a quantum physics finding that our bodies didn't choose the most fit path, and it said when we eat iron, we don't necessarily have bioavailability of iron. And if you look at the origin of that, it very well can be that there were parasites involved, because parasites that happen to be implicated in vitamin 2 emitting, of which that's one of the ways that parasites have made themselves stubborn in Homo sapiens, is that they're able to emit K2, something that our body needs to put calcium where it belongs, rather than having to get into places in our circulatory system, for example. But the enteric medical specialty is so important. It's a top all of our restaurant industries, grocery industry, and regulators such as the United States Department of Agriculture, and also atop real estate inspections. Not real estate per se, but real estate inspections, because it's so important, the quality of a home as it's transferring hands. And that's so important, as you look at different quality management systems, to have a physician of medical science atop the specialty rather than having, a made-up martial artist, as some of the other, automobile-focused or cell phone-focused quality management systems. Lead and Expect is a quality management system built on medical science, built on medical specialties. We know that this new Enteric medical specialty is so good that it will be a kind of specialty hospital that offers diagnostics, that offers procedures for the enteric nervous system specifically. We know that is going to work well because, the having better focused facilities, better focused rosters of teams towards a very specific game of eliminating enteric system malfunction is critical. And so we want you to join us in finding locations for enteric specialty hospitals here in America. We have at Profi.me, we have a product that is Profi.me number 45, which is our specialty hospital product. We think that that's really important, particularly when there's been 180 rural hospital closures since 2006, and not one of those hospitals is reopened as a specialty hospital of any kind. And we know that people in rural areas have a need for an enteric specialty hospital for primary prevention, secondary prevention. We know that there is a primary care of enteric, medical specialty. We know that it doesn't exist because our physicians don't have the training, don't have the knowledge, don't have the time to make a data-based transformation in their patients, not in a methodical way, where people have basically gone the wrong direction in the last 30 years. The other product is our facility planning, because we want to help look at those 130 rural hospitals that have been closed since 2006 and appraise them for the feasibility of an enteric specialty hospital, which we know is going to be a glowing success. There's those that say you can't build a best hospital in the world in a rural setting. Rochester, Minnesota did that. They put a hospital that had a subspecialty approach right there in Rochester, Minnesota. Only like 80,000 people live there, and yet it's one of the best hospitals in the whole world. They say you can't repeat the past. What do you mean you can? Of course you can. So join us, at Profi.me with Lead and Expect, the quality management system that unifies quality and finance under medicine, under medical specialties, rather than under cell phone makers or automotive makers. In this new journey of building enteric medical hospitals all over America to reverse the trend of enteric metabolic illness.